know is, if a Shannon Sharp approached me at the Quickie Mart by my house when I'm filling up on gas and maybe getting me a BC powder, if the motherfucker came to me and was like, "Hi, you look lovely today. What you want from me? I know it ain't no pussy." Well, hello there, love bugs. Hello there, Velez. If you have not done so, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and tip your favorite narrator via Cash App at $NAROB on YouTube. Also, guys, look out for that Flex app conversation that we'll have later on in the video. I'm telling you, it changed my life. And if you are not already a part of this book club, please hit the Patreon link below and or the join button here on the YouTube, and for a small monthly fee of $5, you babies, yes you, can be privy to all the shenanigans before the YouTube gets it, if the YouTube gets it. Now, let's continue talking about When Silence Screamed. The girl who knew too much. I don't know if she knew too much. I know she experienced too much before she was even 18 years old. Jeez. Hell, I know too much. In my lifetime, I've seen too much. I know what too much is, bitch. And she just experienced way too much for a 14-year-old. That was the first time I felt the weight of what this world could demand from me. Despite that, part of me was still caught up in the excitement. I did more shoots with Laws, ended up on posters and the cover of his vinyl album. Me on an album cover. It felt like I was on top of the world, like I was finally being seen. But even then, I knew something was not right. We started rehearsing at Laws's house, getting ready for the tour, and that is when I first met his wife. She was not nice. I could sense the tension between them, the distrust she had for him. She even told me I looked young, and when I told her I was only 14, she said nothing. She just left the room. Her silence haunted me, a quiet reminder that I was out of my depth. I was still balancing school and my life as a backup dancer, preparing to tour on weekends and holidays. It is very important to me that I let young people know. You ain't gotta listen to me, young person, but I'm telling you this. You have options. You don't have to do You can do something else. That's all I want to say. I ain't trying to preach to you, because there was a time that I thought I could preach to young people. Young people don't want to hear that preaching. They don't want to hear you. Right now, they caught up in what they feel is fun and exciting. I get it. But as the wife of a man who would exploit a 14-year-old, I don't know what kind of good person she is. You know what I'm saying? Who knows how old she is? Because for real, he could have found her. DJ Laws could have found his wife at 14. Okay? So she's not looking at it as a bad thing. So who knows what the wife was thinking when Gloria Velez said, when young Glow said, I'm 14 years old. Who knows? On one hand, that is not the wife's place to say, what the hell are you doing here? Why are you here? It's the parents' place. And if the parents fall short, then it shouldn't be left up to a stranger to resolve the issues that have already been there. Okay? Now me, because I'm me, I would say, you got options, right? You don't have to throw your titties out there on the cover at 14 years old. You can go back home to your parents, even though I'm sure they ain't shit, because they got you out here on the road shaking your ass and your titties, and they obviously don't object to it. But I would definitely say you have options. You don't have to do if you don't want to. Right? So, that's how I feel about the situation. But I'm not about to preach to no young person. That's not my job. That is their parents or their auntie's job. Because even when your mammy is fucked up, you still got an auntie somewhere named Phaedra who know how the real world works. Okay, it's always an auntie Phaedra. Laz introduced me to other artists. Kim Soo, Mentally Disturbed, Uncle Luke. They were all part of the scene, performing at the teen nights where Laz DJ'd. It felt like my world was expanding, like I was becoming someone important. I was the dancer everyone wanted on their roster. At first, it was fun. I loved the rush of performing, of feeling like I was part of something bigger. The money did not hurt either. I thought I was helping my family, that this was my way of giving back. But I was too young to understand how dark this industry could be. I was still so naive, still that 14-year-old girl who believed that fame and money protected people from harm. I did not know how wrong I was. What I had already been through with Fabian, with my family, that was nothing compared to where I was headed. I don't know about that. The things that were happening in your life previously, you were too young to have experienced. Why is a 14-year-old dating a 17-year-old that's going to jail for some kind of heinous crime, and then they come to your house and come get them? The peoples come to the house and come get them. That's too much for a 14-year-old. Okay? So I don't feel like you weren't prepared for what was next. What I feel like is that was where she was headed to. The music industry had its own kind of trauma waiting for me. I was walking right into the sound of silence. This was the part of my life where I learned how silence could be just as loud as screams. Where the lights on the stage behind me from the darkness behind it. Where the rhythms that once gave me freedom started echoing with a warning I was too young to hear. So, remember, I associated her in those clubs dancing with going into the go-go's. The entire element of a go-go is amazing. I'm telling you, it was something about that music and the atmosphere that just took you away to places that were not for a young person. I did not realize I was still a child walking into a world that devours girls like me. The sound of silence. This was the part of my life where I learned how silence could be just as loud as screams. Where the lights on the stage behind me from the darkness behind it. Where the rhythm that once gave me freedom and started echoing with warning I was too young to hear. Losing Camille was not just about a friendship ending. It was the breaking of something sacred. She was my mirror, my balance, the sister I chose. And when that bond was severed, I did not just lose a friend. I lost the last bit of growing I had in a world that already felt unstable. Her silence after everything, it haunted me. But instead of grieving, I ran from the emptiness. Laz thought I was like many of the other girls, willing to do anything for fame. Pause. What I believe is that Gloria was not the only 14-year-old there. She was just one of. Okay? So she might have been the youngest, but I'm sure it was a 15-year-old around there, a 16-year-old. That's not his first time picking up a young girl and exploiting her. You want to know how I know why? Because what I tell you, what is the famous quote that Neighbor says? It's because they've done it before and they've gotten away with it. So they have no fear about doing it again. You're welcome, Jamelki. But he quickly realized I was not like them. I was not going to be easily swayed. Yet I was still tested, just like all the others. The girls in the clubs, at the parties, many of them were passed around like meat, prey to men in power. Pause. In my lifetime, I I've been exploited before. You know what I'm saying? Why in the and the mother and the dude didn't care nothing about that I was young. You know, he could look at me and tell I was young. Well, I know I didn't ask questions about how old somebody was, because to me it didn't matter. I knew that if I asked a question about a person's age, then that automatically turned something into what I believed could be beautiful into something nasty. Oh, I'm 17 and you're like 30. Ugh. So I didn't ask, nor did they ask. So it was like almost an unwritten rule of don't ask. And at the time, I didn't ask because I really didn't want to know. Neither did them dudes. So a lot of times, them dudes be knowing we be younger, but oh, I didn't know she was Did you have an inclination that she was Did you even guess it? Yeah, but I didn't ask. I didn't know. You didn't ask because you didn't want to know. I watched this happen in real time at every after party. The things I saw left me horrified. I could not believe it at first. The drugs, the sex. It felt like a hidden world was revealing itself before my eyes. I was not experienced. I had only ever been with one man, and even though I danced provocatively, no one believed that. In their eyes, there was no way I had only been with one man, but that was the truth. There was one show I did with DJ Jealous in the Florida Keys, and he stood out because he was different. He was respectful, a real gentleman. I felt safe with him, which was rare. He performed with other bass artists, and one night after a show, we ended up at an after party that Luke was throwing. I did not think anything of it. I'm trying to tell you what the F is wrong with these men having these underage girls at their party. Bitch, I'm trying to tell you there is no way in the hell that I would throw a party and not ask for ID. The fuck? Little girl, where's your ID? If they ask for IDs for cigarettes and alcohol, why in the hell wouldn't they ask for ID to walk into the depths of hell? I did not think anything of it. It was just another night, another party. That is when I met the athlete. He had just signed a big NFL deal, and everyone at the party was celebrating him. He was the star, and the energy in the room revolved around him, people glorifying him, feeding into his ego. Child, everything about me think it's Shannon Sharp, but you know I'll move forward. The party was loud, filled with heavy drinking. I was not much of a drinker. I could barely handle a few sips without feeling it, so I stayed on the sidelines, observing. That was always my role. An observer in a world I was not sure I belonged to. The athlete noticed me and asked if we could talk upstairs away from the noise. At first, I declined. Nicely. I did not want to upset him, but something about the way he asked made me uncomfortable. These grapey ass athletes. Man, I'm telling you, let me tell you something. Pause. So there are rules that I told my sister. When you dealing with them athletes, them motherfuckers think they entitled to your vagina. You should be happy that I, as an athlete, would want your vagina, especially in college. I don't know what's wrong with these young dudes. All I know is if a Shannon Sharp approached me at the Quickie Mart by my house when I'm filling up on gas and maybe getting me a BC powder, if the motherfucker came to me and was like, "Hi, you look lovely today. What you want from me? I know it ain't no pussy." Shannon Sharp has a issue with wanting to control and feeling like he can have whatever it is he wants. Especially those people with money. They crazy. You can't have me. Like you doing me a favor by graping me. At first I declined nicely. I did not want to upset him, but something about the way he asked made me uncomfortable. He was persistent, though pushing in a way that made me fold. I told myself it was just talking. Pass. Look, y'all, I told y'all that I am single. Well, not exactly. Down here in Georgia trying to make it happen. And let me tell you how I'm making it happen. Through that Flex app. It's a way for us who don't necessarily have all the rent money in the beginning of the month, and we need for that money to be split in half somehow so that we can have a little bit of wiggle room until the next time we get paid. That Flex app allows you to do so. You can pay half the rent in the beginning or the majority of the rent in the beginning by the first, and then you choose your second pay date. This month, my second pay date is the 17th. Bitch, I pay you the rest of your money on the 18th. Next month, it'll be the 23rd. Bitch, I pay you the rest of your money on the 23rd next month. Okay, so you have the option to change that second pay date if you choose to. Y'all, hit the link below. I'm telling you, it makes it happen for me. There are fees, I'm not going to lie, but hit that Flex link below, and it will allow you to have the wriggle room you need to make things happen.